Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Better Days Films. It's your boy Z, and I'm back with another movie review. We are back with the next Terminator movie review. I've already reviewed the first two. They're available on my YouTube channel. You can head over and check those out, and I'll also leave the link for those in the description. And I also went to see Evil Dead Rise the other day, and I did a movie review on that, but it's a non-spoiler review. But I also leave the link down below for those, and I'll also leave the links down for my social medias, my Instagram and my TikTok for y'all to follow me on. But let's get to this movie review. We are here to talk about and review the next Terminator movie, which is Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines came out July 2nd, 2003. Their budget was $187.3 million, and their box office was $433.4 million. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the only one to return to this film. There's a new John Connor played by Nick Stahl, and the new Terminator is the TX played by Christina Loken. So, Terminator 3. A lot to say about this movie. And also, Linda Hamilton doesn't return to this Terminator, and I'll get to that. But my first thoughts on Terminator 3. Wow, now it's watchable. Yeah, it's watchable. And I'm going to try not to make this a rant, but I'm just going to give you guys my honest opinion on it. Now, it's watchable. I could watch it, but there's some things wrong with this movie. There's some things wrong with this movie. I just feel like the seriousness of the first two Terminators compared to this one was toned down a lot more. They tried to make it serious at certain parts, but it just fell flat for me in a way. Now, the plot's about John Connor is older now. It's been 10 years since Terminator 2, where they stopped Cyberdyne and, blew up Cyberdyne and stopped Skynet. It's been 10 years. This time, John is kind of broken down himself in this film, like his mom kind of was in the first and the second one. So even after they stop Skynet, he doesn't feel safe. He still doesn't feel safe. So he lives off the grid. He doesn't stay in place long. He, just keeps traveling. He's on the road constantly. And he's still having nightmares and stuff about Judgment Day and all that. And Linda Hamilton doesn't return, like I said, for this. There's a whole background thing on production and stuff. And I said the reason because the film did want Eddie Furlong, who played John Connor in Terminator 2, wanted him to come back, but he was having some problems back then, which I'm not going to say what it is because that's not my place. But he had some problems in his life, and he was dropped by the film, and then he was dropped by Warner Brothers. Linda Hamilton didn't want to return to this. She was asked, but she turned it down because she just read the script and she just felt like her character was just wrapped up in the first two Terminators. She read the script and, she just felt like she didn't need to be in this. So she turned down the film. So Arnold Schwarzenegger was the only one that returned to the film. Now, once again, Skynet sends the Terminator back through time. This time it's called a TX. The TX could, she's like top of the scale Terminator. Like she could form into other people like the T-1000 could. She has weapons, like she could actually form her hands into weapons. She could like actual like like flamethrowers and grenade launchers, stuff like that. Now she can actually do that, and the Terminator's a woman this time, and she can also control other machines. Like there's one point in the film where she, controls a bunch of cop cars and ambulance to chase after John. Well, getting way ahead of myself. And once again, the Resistance sends back a Terminator to protect, which... Now, first, let me get to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, I'm not saying that he's bad in this film at all. I'm not saying that he's bad in this film, but his Terminator just kind of, I don't know, fell flat. Like, it didn't feel like his first two performances as the Terminator. Yeah, like something just felt off. Like it really did. Like I'm not saying that, he played bad Terminator in this, but it's just like something felt off. Like it didn't feel special like the first two. But like, it just didn't feel like the first two characters that he played. And he sent back through time to not only his time to protect John, but we get a new character, Kate Brewster, played by Claire Danes. Oh, I said her name. I said her name right. I'm real terrible with names. But you find out she's a girl that John used to go to school with when he was young. And she remembers him because John ends up breaking... She's a veterinarian. She works at a veterinarian hospital. And John ends up breaking in to steal some medicine. And, she finds him and, he holds a gun to her, which you find out is a paintball gun, which she ended up taking from him and shooting him with it. But she remembers him when she locks him in a dog cage. Well, as I said, in this, she's a new character, and you find out she's important to the Resistance. She's John Connor's wife in the future. And they tried so hard to rush to make her just as important as John. Like, when I say, like, it was rushed for them, like, we had, compared to how they did with John in the first and second Terminator, like, it didn't feel rushed to me, in my opinion. Like, it flowed for us to know how important John is to the future. In this, it just felt like they was just trying to rush, cut corners to make her just as important as John. Like, for instance, you find out it wasn't John that sent the Terminator back. It was Kate. And what kind of gets me with that whole situation is, he says, he's like, John tells him, like, we have to go rescue her father because her father works for the company who works at the Pentagon, who starts up Skynet. He's like, we have to go rescue her father. And he's like, I'm not programmed to follow your commands. So then you find out when Kate says, when she was like, please, you have to help me. You have to help save my dad. And he's like, we can get there in this many hours. So they're driving there. And she's like, thank you for doing this. She's like, your gratitude is not needed. I'm programmed to follow your commands. And then he was like, John was like, her commands. And then you find out it was Kate that sent the Terminator back through time to protect her and John. And the reason why is because John was like, why didn't I send you back? And he's like, you were dead. So in the future, John Connor dies. And they find out it was the Terminator that Kate sent back through time was the one that killed him in the future. Now, my problem I have with that. Now, why would Kate send a Terminator back through time to not follow her and John's commands? Like, I was so confused at that. Like, yes, John is dead in the future, but you know he's alive in the past. So why not have the Terminator follow yours and John's commands? That's why I said they tried every way to try to make Kate just as, run fast, as make her just as important as John. And also, with this film, like I said, the seriousness was kind of toned down a little bit. Like, they tried a lot of funny stuff, and it kind of was like, okay, like some stuff maybe chuckle a little bit, but for instance, the Terminator goes where he gets his clothes from when he comes. He gets it from a stripper, a male stripper, because it's lady nights at some kind of bar, and he walks in, and he's like, goes up to take off your clothes. The dancer's like, patience, honey, and he gets up on stage. He's like, move, bitch, wait your turn. So then he's like, your clothes, now, talk to the hand. And he grabs his hand, and he's like, now. So they get his clothes. He walks out, there's some sunglasses in, and he puts them on, but it's really goofy sunglasses, and he takes them off and steps on them. And now the TX, this is no disrespect to the actress that played her, but I just felt like her Terminator just fell flat. It really did. Like, it fell flat for me. She didn't feel like the first Terminator, and then the T8, and then the T1000. Like, I don't know if it was her facial expressions. Like, I don't know. It's just, she kind of felt like she was just there in the movie for me. And then there's one scene where, like, the way she talks, like, when she first comes from the future, she takes a woman's clothes in her car, and she just walks up to her. She's like, I like this car. And it just felt kind of cringy compared to what the T1000 did in Terminator 2. Like, like, for instance, he went up to a cop on a bike, and the cop's like, you okay? He's like, I'm fine. Say, that's a nice bike. Like, it just felt like right in that. This felt kind of cringy. And then she's speeding away after stealing the woman's car and clothes. And she gets pulled over by a cop. And she looks up at a billboard. She sees a woman with, like, a model with big breasts. And she grows her breasts. Which I'm trying to figure out why. Because she ends up, the scene with the cop is not even that long. He looks at her, he's like, and he's like, oh, you know how fast you were going? And then she looks at his gun. I like your gun. So she was sent back through time not only to take out Kate and John, she also was going to take out kind of wants to take out John's lieutenants and stuff. So she's going around killing his lieutenants. But what gets me is, I'm trying not to rant. What gets me is, why didn't they send more than one person back? Like, the Terminator only came back to protect Kate and John. Why didn't they also send somebody to protect his lieutenants? It's kind of like they didn't matter. Like, they knew what Skynet's plan was to kill them, but they're like, they don't even care. Like, they talk about it even when Kate and John finds out that he's back to kill, them and his lieutenants. They just move on. Like, it's not really a big thing. So that I didn't understand. And when it came to the seriousness, it got to certain points where John was explaining, like, for instance, he was saying, like, about Kate's father. He's like, it all makes sense now. If you didn't come back when I was a kid, me and her would have got together then, and I would have met her father. You see, this is all about her father. He's the only one that could shut Skynet down. He's the only one that ever could. Like, it really didn't feel like that serious to me. Like, they tried hard to make it serious, but it didn't feel serious to me. And again, with the comedy, the Terminator stopped at a gas station after getting away from the TX, and he's like putting all the snacks in a basket to take to John and Kate, and the guy's like, hey, you gonna pay for that? And he learned. Remember, I said he said talk to the hand to the guy at the male stripper told him to talk to the hand when he wanted his clothes. Well, he's like, talk to the hand to the convenience store guy. It just walks out. But that's not the problem. The problem is the song that's playing while he's walking out the gas station. He's a funky man, funky, funky. He's a funky man, funky, funky. That funky man. Now, you know dang well you would not hear a song like that in the first two Terminators. So, as I said, the seriousness was calmed down and to make way for some comedy, and just kind of fell flat. So, like I said, I'm trying not to rant, but it's like, there's a lot wrong with this movie. Like, I could watch it. It's not the worst Terminator, but it's just there's a lot of stuff wrong with it. And Kate is married. Well, not married. She's getting married. She has a fiance when we first meet her. She ends up dying. Her fiance ends up dying because the TX breaks into her house, kills her fiance, and then pretends to be him, disguises herself as him when the police show up so she can get taken to Kate, the killer. Now, Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor is dead in this movie. We find out the Terminator takes Kate and John to a cemetery, and they take them inside the building, and we find out that Sarah's dead from leukemia. John didn't even know where she was buried because he hit the road the day she died. And the Terminator smashes her grave thing because she's in one of those things. I forget what they're called. But pulls out the coffin, and they're trying to stop him. He opens it up. There's a whole bunch of weapons in. Find out that she was cremated and her ashes were spread in Mexico. And they stored those weapons inside the coffin, as according to her will. So that's what Kate finds out that because she pulls a gun on the Terminator. She tries to shoot him. It doesn't work. And the side Dr. Silverman makes a little small cameo in this movie too. Is like real small. So they finally get to Kate's dad, but the TX is already there, taking over some machines that's in the Pentagon to kill everybody. They turn on Skynet, and they eventually get to a bunker at the end where they think they're going to blow up. They think they're going to blow up Skynet and end this, and Judgment Day will never happen. But it was just a bunker for them to survive, because we also find out earlier in the movie that, when John's talking to the Terminator, he's like, you shouldn't exist. We took out Cyberdyne over 10 years ago. We stopped Judgment Day. And he was like, you only postponed it. Judgment Day isn't editable. So Judgment Day is going to happen whether in this movie, whether what anybody does or not. Which is kind of never explained. Miles Dyson was the one who created Skynet. Everything was blown up at Cyberdyne, so it's never explained how, they was they able to continue his work or not. So that's never touched on. But they was pretty much brought to the bunker to survive Judgment Day. So Judgment Day is going to happen. It ends up happening at the end of the film. They was like, we could let the bombs go off because they had like a bomb with them on a timer to blow up Skynet. And she was like, we could just let it go off. But then, they hear over a radio, somebody asking for help. He's like, this is John Connor. He's like, John's like, who's in charge there? And he's like, I am. And he finally accepts the fact of, he has to protect the future, whether he likes it or not, because the whole film, he keeps saying that he never did want to be important. He never did want to lead the resistance. So he finally accepts it. And the bombs and stuff go off, and the movie ends. Well, I said it's watchable. Like, I could watch it if I sit down and want to watch all the Terminators. But compared to the first two, this is not that good, in my opinion. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would have to give this movie a 5.5 out of 10. Because it's just like, I just feel like the seriousness was toned down for some comedy. A lot of stuff didn't kind of make sense. And I really wasn't feeling the TX. Like, the TX itself is a brilliant idea. I like it. But as far as the way it was portrayed, just fell flat for me. Like, I didn't really have no concern if John and Kate was going to die by her. Is there anything else I want to touch on? Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. I think I covered everything I want to cover. Like I said, why I decided to go the worst Terminator is just not as good as the first two, in my opinion. I can watch it. I can go back now every now and then and watch it. Is it something I could watch again over and over and feel like I'm watching it for the first time? No. The first two is where it's at, in my opinion. But did you like Terminator 3? Let me know in the comments. If you didn't like Terminator 3, let me know in the comments. I'm always down to talk about movies with people. We all have our opinions and stuff on movies. There's some people out here that may love Terminator 3. There's people out here that may hate Terminator 3. Maybe people some that's in the middle about it. Let me know in the comments. I'm always down to talk movies with people. And, you know, I'll be back soon with the next Terminator movie, which is Terminator Salvation. Yes, Terminator Salvation. I was about to say Genesis. Terminator Salvation is next. And I'll be bringing y'all that review soon. I'm also going to be reviewing. May and June is going to be some good months for my channel because I'm going to see the new Fast and Furious movie. I'm going to see, possibly debating on if I want to go see The Little Mermaid and do that review for my channel. I probably will go see it, but we're going to save that for another time. So I do want to see the new Fast and Furious movie, new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I definitely want to see that. As you can see, big Marvel fan. You want to see that? I'm already got my tissues ready for that because I feel that's going to be a tearjerker. And then I do want to see Transformers: Rise of the Beast too. So, and then the next amazing Spider-Man movie with Miles Morales. I want to see that. So there's a lot of content coming, and we're going to keep reviewing these Terminator movies. So there's a lot coming to my channel. So, like I said, I'll leave the link in the description for the first 2 Terminator movie reviews, also with Evil Dead Rise, and also my social media. So please like and subscribe to my channel because I'm just getting started, and I have a lot of content on the way. So everyone, enjoy your day, night, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.